Hey, my name is Paul Maxwell, and today we're going to talk about not just gratitude, but misery. Because when people talk about gratitude, they say, oh, it's a way to add some gradual help to depression or anxiety. But no, the real value of gratitude, and listen, my whole life I thought gratitude was absolutely cliche. I thought it was weak. I thought it was just a really weak approach and concept. And it was a way for people to kind of minimize and negate some of the difficult things in life we're going through. Oh, just try to practice gratitude. I really despise the concept because of just how flippantly it was thrown around. But as I've gone on in my life, I've discovered absolutely the power of gratitude. But the problem is it's framed in the wrong way. It's presented in the wrong way. Gratitude, the way I've heard it in every single place, is misunderstood. So today we're going to look at number one, how you even measure gratitude. Number two, some of the ways that people typically go about telling you to generate gratitude and the ways that I think are better. And these are ways that I've learned from other people. And then number three, the real cost of ingratitude, or really like when you choose gratitude, or kind of realizing the choice you're making when you choose to be grateful, you're not just choosing to be grateful, you're choosing not to be the opposite of what grateful is, which isn't just ingrateful. It's lots of other things that are at the root of mental health issues and just overall misery in life, which I'm going to talk about. So in order to kind of go through today, we're going to talk about how to measure gratitude, how to generate gratitude, and then the gratitude spectrum. Okay. So let's look at how to measure gratitude. So here we're coming from an article in Psychiatry called Gratitude and Wellbeing, which gives us basically the GQ, which is the gratitude questionnaire 6-item form, where on a scale of 1 to 7, you basically rate here. Where are we here? Basically rate, okay. Number one, I have so much in life to be grateful for, right? So in this case, what you would do is you would come through here and you would say what your answer to these questions are. So you say, I have so much in life to be grateful for. Okay. 5. If I had to list everything that I felt grateful for, it would be a very long list. 3. When I look at the world, I don't see much for which to be grateful, right? You could say, oh, okay. 7, I'm a pessimist. I am grateful to a wide variety of people. 2, I'm self-made. As I get older, I find myself more able to appreciate the people, events, and situations that have been part of my life history. Let's say 1, wow, I totally resent everybody. Okay. 6, long amounts of time go by before I can feel grateful to something or someone. Let's say that's a 5. So then what I do is I add up my scores for items 1, 2, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's 5, 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5, 1, 2, 4, and 5 plus 1. Okay, 6, 9, 11. So that equals 11. Okay, great. And then reverse your score for items 3 and 6. That is, if you scored a 7, give yourself a 1. If you scored a 6, give yourself a 2. Okay, that's not super eloquent. I don't love that. Okay, so here I give myself a 1. And then for item 6, if I give myself a 5, then I give myself a 3. Okay, add the reversed scores for items 3 and 6 to total steps from 1 and 3. Okay, so this is I add 1 plus 1 plus 3. Okay, that equals 15. All right. Add the reverse scores for items 3 and 6, the total 1. This is your total GQ6 score. The total number should be between 6 and 42. Now, interpretation. 25th percentile of gratitude, a score below 35. 50th percentile, a score below 38. 75th percentile, a score of 41. Top 13%, a score of 42. Okay, these are sort of artificial for me. All right. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give ourselves a gratitude score. All right. And this is how gratitude is scored. So that's how we measure things. So the point isn't to say, this is my gratitude score. The point is to give yourself a before, okay, a before versus after. Because now what we want to do is we want to go up to generating gratitude. Remember, we're going through measuring gratitude to generating gratitude to the gratitude spectrum. Okay. So that's how you measure gratitude. It's about setting a baseline. Okay. This is a baseline. Baseline equals this. It's the first time you give yourself a score. All right. Now, how do you generate gratitude? So really interesting. This article, The Effects of Gratitude Interventions, is a systematic review, meta-analysis reviews like 15 articles that study gratitude and gratitude interventions and basically say, okay, Number one, what effect does it have? So this is the effect. Okay. So once we're talking about effect, we're talking about various things that it actually addresses. So anxiety, right? Depression, life satisfaction. Okay. So anxiety symptoms, right? Anxiety symptoms are going down 7%. Depression systems are going down 6.8%. Life satisfaction is going up 6.8%. Mental health is going up 5.8%. Experience gratitude is going up 4%, right? And then here we've got kind of mixed results, not really a ton of evidence there, right? Then we go down to the actual methods that are being used. And this is what I find really interesting because this is kind of the useless stuff that I see. I mean, I'm not saying it's useless. If it works for you, great, good on you. I'm not trying to put down things that have worked for you, but I'm telling you, all of these strategies that are listed here have not worked for me. And so here we're going to talk about number one, gratitude journaling, right? 3 specific things you're grateful for and why. Again, these are methods that were studied in this study, okay, in this meta-analysis. That was published in 2023. So gratitude journaling had the highest correlation when we're talking about the actual effects here. So when we're talking about, the actual effects of this specific action on this specific outcome, relief of anxiety symptoms, this is the ultimate. This is this is the 5 stars. Okay. Then we're talking about a gratitude letter. So this is right specifically what someone did, why it mattered, and your appreciation. Okay. Things basically go down in effectiveness and impact from here. Directly expressing gratitude to another person, texting them saying, hey, I'm grateful for you. Structured gratitude, reflection, and savoring, right? Structured gratitude training programs, right? Multi-session exercises combining several gratitude practices, which is actually a little bit redundant because all you're doing here is theoretically these things, right? And then gratitude photos and social media posting had the lowest effect, but still had some correlation, right? So again, all of these things are the relationship of these items to these items here. Okay. And then what I want to do is these are this is my tricks. All right. These are my gratitude tricks because what I want to basically tell you is my understanding of the actual gratitude spectrum. And this is before we get to my tricks, because I believe that my tricks these are the things that work for me. And they are not things that anybody's ever told me other than in specific situations by specific people. And I've never heard them from people that are in sort of the gratitude space. All right. So here in the gratitude spectrum, here on this side, we've got gratitude. Let's add this over here. Let's just add a green, right? Here we've got, whoops, let's get green, please. Here we've got gratitude, right? And you might think, well, what's the opposite of gratitude? It's ingratitude, right? So that's why it's important for us to understand this as a spectrum, right? So it's not that ingratitude is the opposite of gratitude, right? Here, I would actually put this at 0. And let's add the previous score, use the previous scoring where we have +7 here. All right. Now, gratitude, let's define gratitude. This is the missing actual item here that we don't have, is the definition of gratitude. Okay. The definition of gratitude, let's just put this here. The definition of gratitude, okay, equals what? What do I always come back to here? I'm always seeing things through this economic lens. And so gratitude is the appreciation of value I possess. Boom. It all comes down to value. Boom. And what does appreciation mean? Appreciation is an act of perception. So you might even say that gratitude simply is to perceive value. So the question is, and because value is relative, you can move a lever to either push this perception up. You can either push this perception up and experience gratitude, or you can push this perception down. Now, the question is, when you push this perception down, right, What do you get? What do you get when you actually push this perception down? Because here's where I'm going to actually say ingratitude is here. And this is where you perceive zero. What are these units, right? +7 value perception, 0 value perception, right? But the opposite of gratitude is not +7 value perception. It's really -1 or -7. Okay. It depends on how you weight the scale, right? But down here, I'm actually going to say gratitude is an appreciation of value. So this is where I've received something or I have a value surplus, right? I have a value surplus, right? So I'm actually +7 in my life. So I'm actually up in the game, right? It's like when you're at a casino and you're up. Yeah, right. So what's the opposite of that? It's that I'm down and that, let's just say -7. This is I am in a value deficit, which means I am entitled to something. And because I'm entitled to something, the opposite of gratitude actually is resentment. Okay. So resentment is I am owed, right? And gratitude is /lucky, right? And again, this entire thing is a matter of perception. This is a perception. The gratitude spectrum is a perception spectrum. And it's a question of, do I perceive value? So the question is, what levers can I use, right? How can I actually move the scale on this? How can I move? How can I travel? How can I traverse the spectrum and manipulate my own consciousness to traverse the spectrum to move from here up to here? How can I do this? What levers exist to do that, right? That's where I'm going to come down here. I'm going to tell you my tricks of the trade, tricks of the gratitude trade. Okay. So here are the shortcomings of this. Number one, the shortcomings of typical gratitude is that it already presumes on gratitude. Okay. So a couple shortcomings here of these typical approaches, these typical gratitude tactics like journaling and writing a gratitude letter, right? They already presume gratitude. Write a list of 3 things you're grateful for. Well, how do I become grateful for them? Right? There's not a clear answer to that question. Number 2, right? It's that it is a nebulous experience, right? Where I say, just like reflect on gratitude, or here if I have like a meditation, a reflection, or a savoring, right? It is nebulous versus behavioral. So it's basically lacks evocation in that it lacks the ability to actually evoke gratitude, and then it lacks action. Okay. These are the 2 things that typical gratitude advice lack. So then I come back here and here's my tricks. All right. So it's basically four basically approaches that, again, I've learned these from other folks. And basically what we've got are behavior, value, reframe, and the emotional opportunity cost, right? So for behavior, basically what I do is I say, so I'm going through my gratitude tactics. So first of all, this is how I would behaviorally kind of goad myself into gratitude. I would say, how does a grateful person act? I'm just going to do that. So often when we talk about gratitude, we're talking about, oh, how can I experience the gratitude that I already have? It's like a weird self-dependent circle where I'm like lifting myself up by my own bootstraps. Where if I say, listen, I don't really care how I feel. I'm not going to pay attention to if I feel grateful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to act like a grateful person. So I'm going to use a common phrase, move a muscle, change a thought. Move a muscle, change a thought. Okay. So how would a grateful person act? I'm going to do that and I'm going to act my way into the experience. And I'm not going to do it just to feel grateful. I'm going to do it again because of, we're going to get to this in a moment, but because of the trade-off cost. Because when I choose not to be grateful, I'm not just choosing to give up some like Buddhist experience of gratitude where it's like, oh, if I choose not to be grateful, or if I choose to just neglect a gratitude practice, it's like, what am I really losing? I'm like not some monk sitting on a mountaintop experiencing this like peak spiritual experience of gratitude, well, too bad. Like I've got life to do. Gratitude almost feels like this kind of upper class luxury at that point, right? Whereas what I actually am seeing is that I am choosing to live in resentment. If I don't choose gratitude, I'm not just choosing indifference. Okay. I'm not just choosing ingratitude. I'm choosing resentment and I'm choosing to live in resentment. And this is toxic to me, right? The problem is it's going to pull me deeper and deeper into this toxic state of mind. And I'm going to start ruminating. And this causes mental health issues. This is bad. Okay. Very, 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 very bad, right? Ruminating, right? Ruminating versus what? Ruminating versus celebrating. And you might say, nice, dude, super cliche. Well, listen, the cost of gratitude is cliche. Okay. Gotta be cool with it. You can either be cliche and grateful, or you can be cool and fucking miserable. I'm going to be cool. Ooh, cool. I'm not being grateful, which is cool. It's like smoking. Okay. Resentment is like smoking. It's super cool. And then, I'm also going to have this contrast. How would an ungrateful person act? Right. I'm basically saying, how would a grateful person act and how would an ungrateful person act? Right. And I'm going to say, all right, wow, that's kind of how I'm acting. I'm kind of acting like an ungrateful person. And what this does is this reduces this down to a simple choice of action. I'm going to do the things a grateful person would do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a list of actions, and then I'm going to do the actions that a grateful person would do, and I'm going to avoid the actions an ungrateful person would do. Next, we're going to do the value reframe. So think of it this way. It's not this, there's a poor alternative which says like, oh, there's so many people that have it so much worse. Well, think of yourself as the person that could have it so much worse, right? And then say, basically, I'm going to take stock of my life and basically say, if I lost everything tomorrow, and tomorrow I had none of the things that I have today, and I was literally just starting over from scratch, what would I look back on? And what would I wish I had back? Okay. This is another list, right? What would I wish I had back, right? Huge. And then also, when have I lost things and wish I had them back? Like a relationship. This is a common thing in a breakup, right? You go through a breakup, you're like, man, I wish I had that relationship back, right? Well, use that. Say, am I in a relationship that I'm ungrateful for now? What if I lost it? You might think, oh man, I'd feel so free. It's like, would you? Or would you immediately miss this person? Right? Maybe, maybe not. And then we have a frame. So a lot of people say, oh, life could be a lot worse, right? Kids in Africa starving. Okay. Right. Sure. But again, the purpose here isn't to guilt you for not appreciating value. The idea is, how do you persuade yourself to be grateful? The idea is that it's not, I think life could be a lot worse is like not a powerful reframe, but life doesn't have to be this good is a powerful reframe, because life could be a lot worse is kind of a negative frame. It's like, yeah, I guess life could technically always be worse. So that's why it kind of lacks power. But life doesn't have to be this good. It's like, wow, actually, there are a lot of things in my life that don't have to be this way. This new friend that I have, this new nice interaction I had with this person, all these little things in my life that don't have to be there. They literally don't have to be there. Okay. And it shows you, again, the point is the fact that they don't have to be there is what is this doing? We're trying to move this lever of experiencing the perception of a value surplus. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to evoke the emotion of a value surplus. That's what gratitude is. And then what good things have come into my life that didn't have to, right? And then finally, we have the opportunity cost, right? What will my day feel like if I'm ungrateful? If I don't see the value that I have, if I don't experience a value surplus, what will it be? It will be rumination. It will be poor mental health. It will be toxic. And it will be, I am owed. Why can't I catch a break? And all you will see is the negative. The cost is 24 hours 24 hours of misery, right? And you're like, well, I don't have a choice, man. My life sucks. It's like, actually, this is the choice. Gratitude is the choice of value perception. And it's the choice of, listen, my life's going to be what it is one way or the other. And I'm going to choose to be proactive, and I'm going to choose to be Archimedes on the other side of this lever. I'm going to choose to be the one who thinks of himself on the movement end of this value lever, where I am in control of my life and I am in control of value perception. And my life will be better if I perceive a value surplus. I'm going to treat people better. I'm going to appreciate the things I have. And at the end of the day, I'm going to save myself from the self-inflicted suffering of resentment, because that's the one final thing I want to tell you about resentment. The worst thing about resentment, the very worst thing, is that it is self-inflicted. And the very coolest thing about gratitude is that it too is self-inflicted or self-generated, right? So I want to be in a place where I want to have self-inflicted, I want to have self-inflicted celebration, or I can have self-inflicted rumination. All these people, how they messed with me, how they screwed me over, how they didn't get me what I needed in life, right? And then, of course, here's the things. What will my day look like if I'm ungrateful, right? Which goes down to, how does an ungrateful person act, right? That's related to that. And then how would my day look like if I was grateful, which relates up to this. How would a grateful person act, right? Boom. So that's what I'm trying to do. It makes gratitude a choice. What this does is it reduces everything to a choice. Okay. Reduce everything to a choice. Value perception is a choice to evoke gratitude. All right. At the end of the day, these things work far better for me. And I thought there was something wrong with me, because people were telling me to do these things like gratitude journaling and write a gratitude letter and directly express gratitude to another person. And I was like, why is none of this working for me? Why does none of this make sense? Why does none of this feel like it has any effect? Look. Oh my God, my anxiety symptoms are down 7%. That's nothing. I still have 93% of my anxiety after all of this gratitude shit. All right. Oh my God, I still have 93% of my depression. Fantastic. Lovely. That's so wonderful. Thanks, gratitude. Right. But I'm telling you, this stuff reduces it to a choice. And it puts you on the spectrum to say, am I going to be resentful or am I going to be grateful? Not because gratitude. And again, I want to rescue gratitude from this nebulous definition of like this spiritual experience on a mountaintop. No, look at it from an economics perspective. Gratitude is simply the perception of value. So do you appreciate the value that you possess? And can you control whether you perceive the things you have as valuable? And you can with these mechanisms. And I have found these to be far more effective for myself, because at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm not only seeing, when I choose to see value, the choice to see value itself is a choice of value perception, because I'm realizing I'm not choosing between having some elevated, indulgent, high class spiritual Buddhist experience of gratitude or just not having that experience. I'm choosing between perceiving the value that's in my life or ruminating into a toxic mental health spiral where I see myself in a constant value deficit and am blind to all the value that is in fact there. And I'm become the Scrooge McDuck of my life, sliding down on my mountain of gold coins, even if it's not gold coins. It's people, it's opportunities, it's blessings, it's your physical health that you have, all of this wealth, all of these riches that you have in your life that you're not perceiving as valuable for one reason or another. And you can choose to see the value there, because the fact is there is value there. No matter what, no matter where you are in your life, you can practice gratitude, not because, again, it's some weird nebulous experience, but because there's always value to perceive. And And whether you choose to perceive it or not is a choice between living in a life where you feel lucky and living a life where you feel screwed by the world. So the choice is not between gratitude and ingratitude. The choice is between gratitude and toxic resentment. So I hope this was helpful to you. I will have a link. I'm going to try to link to these gratitude things in the show notes, but subscribe to my newsletter. That's in the show notes. And let me know if this resonates with your experience. Thanks so much.